Hey, welcome back. It's been a minute. Probably haven't seen me in a while or many videos from me. The truth is, at the time of this video, Christmas has just ended. So Merry Christmas if you're seeing this shortly after. Happy New Year. 2020 is coming. I've been slammed, as I'm sure you probably have too, as the Christmas season approaches. I've got a family, I got small kids. I agreed to play bass for my church's large Christmas program. So from like November until the middle of December, it was every night I'm up here. And instead of working on drone parts or videos or tuning things, I am going through songs hardcore. So anyways, that's done. I'm back. I'm happy to be sitting in the chair talking to you guys again. And if you saw the thumbnail, I'm sure you are excited or at least curious about FETTEC. What is it? And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about their new flight controller, their new ESC, my intentions for those parts in terms of what I'm putting it into, and also I'll cover a little bit about FETTEC, or at least what I know and what I speculate. So without further ado, let's dive into the overview of the parts. All right, so up first is the FETTEC ESC. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. I'll get some better pictures probably thrown up in the corner here, but it's 35 amp continuous rated, 3 to 6S. It's got a 20 by 20 bolt pattern. It does have little breakouts for the motor mount holes. So this is set up for an M2 screw, and I've got one here I can show you. So it's intended to hold an M2 screw. But as you can see, it's got these little breakouts. You could pop those out and you can run an M3 screw. Let's see what else. You'll notice here on this side, you've got direct solder pads. On the other side of that is a quick connect harness port. And FETTEC does include a package with that, a harness to help with that. I'll get to that in just a second. You've got, on this side over here, you've got your power connectors, you've got your motor mounts, you've got the normal KISS operating sequence 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of motor order. Here is the kit you get with the ESC. It's got a harness that connects directly to their flight controller, which I'll talk about in a moment. It's got a low ESR cap. This looks to be, let's see, trying to find a capacitance. There we go. It's 50 volt, 330 microfarads. They include these little hard metal washers that you can stick over the holes because you've got these pop-out tabs on here, and so you don't want to necessarily crush those. So they include a little washer to help distribute the screw load into the board itself. And then this is really cool too. So, sometimes people's harness connectors don't have what was intended. This is meant to go, this connector here is meant to go with the FETTEC flight controller, but maybe you don't have that flight controller. Maybe you get a KISS flight controller or something different. They include a spare connector in here that you can depin the harness yourself, and you can put your own connector on. It's small, but it's a nice touch. I really like that. What else is there to say about this ESC? In general, it looks really, yeah. So one thing, you'll probably see it, you started seeing it on like maybe the Hobby Wing G60 and G45 stacks, maybe it's G40, I don't know. These two little holes that show up near your positive negative terminals. That's for a capacitor. So the 330 microfarad capacitor that they included, this is becoming kind of common practice, and it's a great idea. It's an easy way to hard mount the capacitor directly to your board. You can do what a lot of people do, which is solder it long and then bend it over to lay on top of your ESC leads, to your power leads, to try to provide some strain relief. But they also provide individual capacitor holes on the four corners of the board. So if you're still getting noise, you can continue to add capacitance in a very simple and clean way. I thought this was a really nice touch. Again, it's not for everybody. Some people are against running capacitors. You know, they think, hey, I shouldn't have to, and I understand that argument. But I also appreciate the fact that if I need to run something, I have that ability. All right, so that's the speed controller. Let's set that aside. And let's talk about what you're probably most interested in, which is this guy. This is the first KISS 20x20 capable flight controller. What I mean is there's a 20x20 bolt pattern. And if you look carefully, it looks like there might even be a 16x16. That's interesting. I'll have to ask Alex and Felix about that and see what they say. Nevertheless, let's take a look at this for a minute. So you've got an F7 chip here. There is no on-screen display. I know that annoys some of you. However, Quad Mover posted a video, I don't know, several months back, where he was showing the new FETTEC on-screen display system. So the full-size version of this light controller, whatever it looks like, will have a actual FETTEC/KISS on-screen display built in. I know, you know, myself included, it's about time, right? Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a look at some of these ports here. On the bottom of this, I'm assuming it's the bottom. Actually, I need to look, but here's your ESC. So you'll connect your ESC port to your ESC port here. You've got a serial 3 connection, and they've included a little RX port as well. So Spectrum users, here you go. They have considered you, right? Your little satellite RX port. You've got here some solder pads here, and they're also edge linked, and also edge linked here. And what those are for, if you can see this, and I'll turn this around so hopefully it's a little bit better. Unify Nano. So they've designed this board to run with the Unify Nano and then Crossfire. So what you can do is with the pins that are included, you can actually set up your Crossfire receiver and you can hard mount it to the board. I know some of you have seen that on, say, for example, the White Noise FPV board. And then if you've got, and I guess I'll need some more pin headers for this, but pardon the static bag noise here, but I'm going to get out my little Unify Nano that I ordered directly for this as well. So you can, with these edge mount connections, you can hard mount this guy and hard mount this guy, and now you've got a nice, clean, tight stack. Not for everybody. I understand there are risks. So if you hard mount something like this, you know, where you've got pin headers and you're connecting it here, you run the risk that you'll never be able to get these off again. However, if you've got a tight build like most 20x20 stacks are, then it's a really nice feature. And it's very forward thinking, or at least it's considerate of multiple people and the way they want to run it. And still, you have the option to do whatever you want, right? If you want to run, you know, direct solder, you can do that. I'm not going to belabor a lot of these different connections in here. There are connections for direct motor mounting if you don't want to use the harness, you want to go direct. It's a flight controller, guys. You know, it's got a lot of the things that flight controllers have, right? Processors, capacitors, resistors, diodes, etc., and a bunch of different pads where you can mount things. The big thing that, you know, I'm curious about is whether or not this will perform, you know, like a KISS flight controller. And I'm showing a pretty special little board here for a KISS flight controller. This is actually a prototype board that I was lent for some testing by a friend of mine. So this flight controller is proven, right? It's an excellent board. It does some amazing things. It's very simple, as all KISS products are, and I know some of you who are watching this will go, KISS doesn't have GPS and KISS doesn't have on-screen display and KISS, right? Yeah, well, I get it. I understand. I empathize with that, right? I wish this board had an on-screen display. But the good news is that the one coming from FETTEC is going to have all of that. And in fact, thanks to the contributions of Alexander Fedorov, who continues to code for KISS, even though he's never been employed by them, was never paid by them directly, and is just doing this because he wants it. KISS now has the ability to have GPS, and in fact, if you've seen some of my videos, and I'll throw a card up, if you've seen some of my videos with my 7-inch KISS Ultra Fox, that actually has GPS. The on-screen display of the TBS Unify EVO talks to this KISS flight controller now, thanks to Alex, and I get full GPS coordinates, home arrow, etc., right on my on-screen display using KISS. So anyway, Alex, thank you again for that, mate. Tremendous contributions. So let's switch a little bit, and we'll talk about what FETTEC is. So what is FETTEC? Is it KISS? If it's the same guys at KISS, why are they doing this instead of doing just more innovation on KISS? Well, FETTEC is not KISS, but it also is KISS. Some of you have heard the name Felix and KISS associated together and thrown around. In fact, that's what the F in FETTEC stands for. There are two other of his colleagues, which are the E and the T. And gentlemen, I apologize for not knowing your name, but maybe you probably prefer that. But nevertheless, there are three guys who are starting or have started FETTEC, and they all come from the KISS team. So, Felix, does he own KISS? The answer is no. KISS is owned by another guy whose first name is Paul, and Felix worked for him. Felix, his passion is speed controllers and coding, hardware development, but he didn't actually own the Flyduino KISS brand. And so, for reasons unknown to me, he decided that, you know what, I've had enough with KISS. I'm going to go start my own little project. I don't know any of the reasons behind that. I don't know if it was amicable between him and Paul. I don't know if it was, tense. I don't know. But suffice it to say, Felix and his friends decided to start FETTEC. And so what you see before them are their first two products. First, you had the speed controller. Then you had this 20x20 flight controller, and we know that an OSD and a larger flight controller is coming as well, and I would assume that also a larger ESC. Now, what does it mean for KISS? Is KISS dead? Well, probably in terms of new hardware. But from my understanding, the fact that this flight controller is KISS licensed, it means that Felix for sure is going to continue to develop KISS, or at least work on parts that use the KISS code, right? Like this flight controller. And it's possible that the new flight controller will also be KISS. So in a way, KISS is not really dead. It's kind of been taken over, I would assume, by FETTEC. And again, this is just my speculation. I don't know anything. But it would seem to me that FETTEC has kind of become what KISS was going to be, or rather KISS has turned into FETTEC in a way. Flyduino still exists at the time of this video. They're still making parts. They're still, they have control of the code. It is closed source. It's not open source. And FETTEC is, again, closed source, just like KISS was. But in my opinion, as long as FETTEC survives, Flyduino and KISS will survive as well, or they'll at least live on. So anyways, that's what I know about FETTEC. I am excited to get this built, and in fact, what I will be building it into, and you may have seen this frame before if you've been on my channel, or even if you've just been around, there's the RotorX Atomic Fox. This is an itty-bitty little frame. but it is so much fun. The center of mass is so tight on it. In fact, I had it set up once upon a time for a 30x30 pattern. I'll throw this KISS flight controller on top of it so you can kind of see, right? It's a tight fit. It really is. And I'm hoping and hopeful that with this KISS or this FETTEC setup, right, you can see how much smaller that is right away. I'll be able to run 20x20 setups straight through the middle here out of these existing holes in this frame. I'll probably break these tabs off on that flight controller, honestly. But, you know, I'm excited to get this guy back in the air and have a really tight build, a nice clean build. So, without further ado, that is the overview of FETTEC, of their 20x20 ESC, their new 20x20 / 30x30 sort of flight controller. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them in the description or in the comment section below. I am pretty quick to respond to stuff on YouTube. If you're really interested in talking to me about this, probably the best way to get a hold of me is through the FPV chat Slack group. So I include that information in the video description below. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you next time.